listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sun.
Well, good morning and welcome to episode 900 of the Lots Project Morning Show, where the coffee's strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything is always filter free. I'm Brian, your host, and it's August 10th, 2026. This morning I'm enjoying a fresh cup of medium light Honduran from foodforestfarms.com because life's too short for shitty coffee. At Food Forest Farms, your beans are roasted by real human hands using a clean stream air roaster. More than just a customer, your family. Get 10% off with code LOTS10, that's LOTS10, and shipping is always free. While you're there, check out the C4 Club for even more awesome perks. Today we've got another busy show. I'll give an update after spending a full day dropping trees for the future solar field, talk about experimenting with fixing those stubborn vinyl floor bubbles that we ran into. I talked about last week what actually worked and what was a complete waste of time. Highlights from this week's YouTube video covering the tools I'm using to clear the solar field, and talk about rebuilding my Noster habit one day at a time, plus whatever else catches my attention before we wrap things up. So grab your coffee, hit that like button, and let's get started. Good morning. Good morning again. Hunter, thanks for popping in as always over on Twitch. It is greatly appreciated. And Mike's Homestead, good morning to you, sir. Thanks for popping in over on YouTube. Oh man, episode 900. 900. We were over at our friends the other day having a great rib dinner. It was fantastic. Appreciate that. Thanks to Palm Tree there for smoking up them ribs, and H for helping with everything else. But oh man, talking about 900 and different things over the few years it's taken to get to 900, and man, some of those highlights like the drywall episodes, and that whole week of kind of my life spiraling out of control, losing my job and things like that. Just starting out back at the beginning when we were talking about all the different things on the homestead, and the stuff we accomplished there, and going animal by animal and project by project, and this, I mean, really started out as a half an hour of me basically shaking the whole time, and kind of progressed from there. And hey, I've gotten a little better, not great, not great by my estimation quite yet, but way better than the first show, for sure, for sure. And then just heading out on the road, and doing shows from the road every day. And man, another one that sticks out is the first time I missed a show, not scheduled. I know I took a few days off here and there when we were traveling, and I knew I wasn't going to have cell service before we got Starlink. And but once I was on a roll and we had Starlink, and the first time I had to call off a show because I was sick, that was interesting. So just talking about that over the weekend, and heading into episode 900. But here we are enjoying a nice cup of medium light Honduran, and it's a fantastic cup. I finished up the Brazilian over the weekend that I had opened up last week, and moved on to this Honduran, and it's a little lighter than the little lighter body than the Brazilian. The Brazilian is nice, full flavor bean, really hits you in the mouth, and this Honduran is a little lighter and a little smoother. So tons of variety you can get over at foodforestfarms.com. And as always, well, not as always, but right now still have that second month free deal going on for the C4 Club. So sign up for the C4 Club, put in 2MF, 2MF, and you'll get the second month free of the C4 Club. Brings that per pound for the first couple months down to like 11.50 or 11 a quarter or something like that. It's just unbelievable price for that Food Forest Farms coffee, which is absolutely fantastic. We work with Brian, and learn what you like, and or just get a variety of different beans every time he sends them out. Anyway, it's six after now. Let's check in with that Bitcoin guessing game. We got a few guesses in this week. Bitcoin price at 606 on August 10th, 2026. 606. Wow, 607 now. Time is flying. Holy shit. 607 on August 10th, 2026. We got Bitcoin price of 64,963. 64,963 is the price. August 10th. Guesses in, my guess, still up on the board there. We have not got back up into the 80s, and once we do, I will start guessing again. But I'm protesting the guessing game. I'm protesting my own guessing game until the price gets back up into the 80s. 84,830, 321 is my guess. Pip in with the guess is $61,942.27. Chris Dixon, 63,487. Blueberry, Texas, in with the guess 65,444. Thesia, the Oracle, she would guess 64,200. Scrambling gives her the old Price is Right, 64,201. But new winner this week. I don't know if this gentleman has won before. I don't know. I don't recall him ever taking the prize, but John Palmer. John Palmer, congratulations. John Palmer in with the guess of $65,432.10. Congratulations, John Palmer, with the win. You win, you get it. Absolutely nothing but bragging rights over in the Telegram chat for the week. Congratulations, John. If you want to get in on the guessing game, how it works is head over to the Telegram chat at t.me. Whoa, what is this? Hold on one second. T.me/lots chat, t.me/lots chat, and find the pinned post. Every week we make guesses and try to guess what the price of Bitcoin is going to be the following Monday at 6:05, 6:06, somewhere around there. And join a group of folks, and you win nothing but bragging rights. But we have a lot of fun doing it, so head on over there. Great group of people. Stick around for the rest of the week and enjoy the conversation, the memes, the discussions, the GSD. I mean, people share what they're getting done around their place. We joke, we complain, we talk about all sorts of stuff. So appreciate everybody over there in the Telegram chat. It's a nice place to hang out for sure. Mike's Homestead. He says, "Don't ask me." Mike's Homestead with 1,000 jewels for the goat trophy. I don't know what these 1,000 jewels are, or what they do, but I appreciate it, Mike. He says, "Don't ask me." I'm not sure either. It's some sort of YouTube thing. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen here. Let me. It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen jewels. Um, I don't know if I've ever seen jewels what they are on YouTube. I don't know. I know they had stars at one point. I know I just got a trophy, I guess. I don't know. Huh. I I don't know. Pip says goats. Are we in Afghani now? I don't know. Mike Soames said it. He hasn't seen it. He had them. It said to use them before they expire. Well, thanks. I appreciate you. I appreciate using your expiring goat trophy for me. Uh, this is fantastic. Oh, perfect. Um, All right. It's the first thing I've won today. Uh, anyway, here's the 900, guys. I appreciate it. Let me figure out what's going on here. Um, all right. All right. Focus. Focus. I let's talk about the cabin. Cabin update for the week. Lots of stuff going on with cabin this week, both inside and outside. Excuse me. Start with outside. Uh, Tuesday. I finished clearing up. My goal was to be ready to drop trees on Wednesday, so I had gotten pretty much everything done. I had the stuff left. I had a couple piles of branches that were basically they were too big to put through the chipper that I have, but they were too small to cut up and split. And a lot of them were kind of deadfall. Some of them were rotting, a lot of mangled, kind of bent messes. And so I just kind of piled them off to the side in a couple places when I was doing the brush and when I was trimming up. And so I had to do something with those. And I decided I was going to lop them into basically smaller than my 25-gallon drum height and pile them up, get them out of the way, and use them for either biochar feedstock for inside the biochar production drum or for in that annular space if they were small enough to kind of slide down in there and stack around the outside of the drum. So basically took a part of a day and got those cleaned up. Lots of trips up and down the hill with the cart and didn't throw the cart. That was good. Good. Never always good day when you don't throw the cart or throw anything. But got those cleaned up, got them lopped down into appropriate size, hauled up the hill and out of the way. Um, so that basically cleared the first round of trees I had dropped into the solar field. And what I was looking at for the next day was I needed to drop, there was about 6 trees that made sense to do this round. And I still have about a dozen left. I think I might be able to drop the majority of the last 12 all at once, just where they are. But these 6 were basically what was either still in the solar field or right around the edge. And so it was going to be dropping in to where I'm going to eventually end up putting the panels. The other 12 that I still have left after that, a lot of them are just shade, early morning shade, and then a few that are still, they're tall enough that I think if they fell, the tops would reach the panels, but they're not necessarily in the way for shade reasons. I just want to get them down to prevent damage in the future. But I set targets on 6 trees. They were pretty big trees. 2 of them, let's say 2 of them were small. I want to say small. They're probably 30 foot tall and eight to 10, maybe 12 inches diameter. So not necessarily small trees, but small comparative to the other 4 that were on the list. Those ones I had to cut a little bit of deadfall out that was around the base of them. They were right on the edge of the clearing that I had done already. Cut that out that day before prepping to get these ready. I kind of went around and staged around each tree to make sure I could access all sides and could properly wedge the tree out and then back cut it and drop it where I wanted. So those 2 were on the list. There were 2 that were right in the middle of the solar field that were really big. Actually, the tallest one I fell was right in the middle. It was when I pasted out after it was on the ground. I got it like 65, 68 feet, so it was a decent tree, and it was probably, I want to say, probably 18-inch diameter. I got a 20-inch diameter bar or a 20-inch bar on my saw, and I was able to get through it, but there wasn't a lot of bar hanging out the other end. So it was it was pushing the limits on that saw. The other one next to it was slightly smaller, probably 15, 20 feet small or shorter, and a couple inches in diameter less, but it was still a decent sized tree. Definitely didn't want it falling on me. And then the last two in the round that I was going to cut down were standing deadfall. Both of them kind of down at the bottom of the clearing, right on the edge where I had stopped, and both perfectly straight, probably in that 30-foot, 20 to 30-foot tall, but had been topped off at some point, and big, thick trunks, but no branches, so straight up like a telephone pole. And one was a little smaller, one was probably in the 14 to 16 inch diameter range, and the other one was probably just, it was over my bar. It was longer than my bar. I had to come around and cut on both sides of it. So I would guess probably 22, 24 inch diameter and a good 20-foot tall, 30 maybe, and rotted. um, when I was inspecting them and kind of formulating a plan on Tuesday, I did some knocking on the trunks, on the trees that I was cutting down, because if you've ever felled trees and you start cutting into it and it's rotten, and you're expecting that to hold, as you make that wedge cut out, the notch cut out on the one side, you're expecting the backside to hold. If you got a lot of rot in there, there's a chance that it lets loose and it falls when you don't want it to, or in the direction you don't want it to. It can get pretty sketchy. The first four trees were really solid. I wasn't really concerned about anything like that in those trees, but these last two standing deadfall had a lot of rot in them. A lot of pockets of rot. I was able to peel a lot of the bark. Well, a lot of the bark was gone already, but peel bark away, peel rotting wood away, and so my better judgment told me, my plan was to drop all these trees into the area I already had cleared to make cleaning them up easier. And these standing deadfall being so rotten, being dead, I kind of wanted to harvest them because they were dead for wood for the camper wood stove. Unfortunately, if we end up still here, we're going to need some dried deadfall to burn in our wood stove when it starts getting chilly. Uh, Tough to think about that with it being 95 every day here. Sweating my ass off. I'm thinking about how am I going to heat myself this winter. But anyway, that was the intention, was to drop them into the, there goes my hard drive again. Every week, guys. Hard drive resets during the show. I don't know if it's something with the computer or what. Um, but I wanted to get some of that deadfall wood. With the rot in the trunks, I determined that it would be best if I drop them into the brush that was still there, and just kind of say screw it and leave them for the forest to consume again. I wasn't gonna worry about kind of clearing another 20 foot of lane to drop them, and it was kind of sketchy trying to drop them the direction that was already cleared, just by the way where the rot was on the tree. And so I went to it. I dropped the two smallest. I dropped the two smallest ones. They were no problem. They were no sweat. They dropped right where I wanted. Then I headed over to the bigger ones that weren't rotten. And these ones were a little trickier. The direction I wanted to have them fall, they were kind of weighted that way. I kind of compromised a little bit, looked at the tree, found which way the branches were kind of weighting that trunk, and was able to drop them right where I wanted, right into the clearing, right right next to each other. There was no sway, no kickback or anything like that on the trees, and I was really happy that they fell where they did. And then on to those standing deadfall. Um, Man, the first one went well. The first one I was able to drop right out into the weeds like I had planned. The second one, I it was the one that I had to kind of cut on both sides because my bar wasn't quite long enough to get through it completely. And so I started taking the wedge out. I hit a little rotten pocket, which I had expected. That's what I wanted to have it on that side, that wasn't the rotten stuff wasn't trying to hold that tree up while I was working around it. Cut the wedge out. Got the struggled from both sides. Finally got it cut out, and then I was looking at it, and it really, man, it was so straight up and down. There was just no weight trying to pull it in really any direction. Had wedges with me, just in case I had to had to give it a little persuasion, and so I started the back cut, and as I was going, all of a sudden it bound up on my saw, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So what that meant was I had my wedge out of the one side. I guess you can't really tell. This doing this backwards would be interesting. Had the wedge out of the one side, and I was back cutting it from. Fuck it, I'm not even gonna try it. If you're listening, that was gonna be an interesting. That was gonna be some interesting visuals, but can't do it backwards. I can barely do it forwards. I can't even do it backwards for sure. And so I was making the back cut into it, and basically the tree was starting to fall the other way, the way I didn't want it to fall, and pinching my saw. Normally, with the wedge out of it, if you've evaluated the tree properly and you start the back cut, the weight of the top of the tree will start to pull it, and it opens up the slot that you're cutting your back cut in and falling towards the wedge. That's the whole idea. This was starting to lean back onto my saw and pinching the blade, and so I was like, this isn't really good. And it made me a little nervous. I grabbed my wedges and splitting maul to use as a hammer at the back end of the splitting maul, and it got the wedge started in there, tapped it in a little bit using a big long wedge, and man, I started banging it in, and it took hold, and I was banging it in, and I could tell that it was seeding in there. And so I took one big swipe at it to kind of knock it, to give it a little extra oomph, and it split out. It flew out, flipped up, cracked me right in the mouth, and I'm like, oh shit. So to grabbing my mouth, I was like, holy crap, am I bleeding? Blah blah blah, and like all of a sudden I realized that I had that tree trunk kind of wedged up a little bit, and that wedge popped out, and so that gave it a little momentum to fall back, and get it moving. And I was like, kind of nervous standing next to this thing. Even though my mouth was kind of throbbing, I kind of evaluated the situation, looked at the trunk. It wasn't visually moving that much. It wasn't that big of a deal, as much of it as it could have been. I was able to get that wedge started again. It was leaning back a little bit more. It was harder to get that wedge started. Got the wedge started enough that my saw started working. Gave it a little extra cut, and knocked that wedge in, and just knocked the tree over the direction I wanted. So in the end, it worked out. Got a little sketchy there for a few minutes, and man, I don't like cutting down dead trees. It scares me. I don't have enough experience um, to do it confidently. I have enough knowledge to know that I don't know enough, I guess. But I did know enough to try to find rotten spots to kind of go with them and work with them, and get it on the ground. And I'm glad it's down, and I'm pretty sure that if that one had stayed up, I would have ended up with it right in the middle of the solar array at some point in a storm. Just the way that was rotting, and how many bugs and composting beetles and things were in the trunk of that tree. It wouldn't have been long, and half of it would have been eaten away, and a good windstorm would have dropped that right into the array. So everything got ended up safe on the ground that day, and that's always a win for me. I do some things. I cut some trees down I mean I'm getting decent at it. Over the years, I've worked with a lot of people that have taught me a lot of things about cutting trees down, and that accumulated knowledge helps me get my way through it. But it's nerve wracking every time you do it, and knowing that if something goes slightly wrong, you could be hurt pretty quick. And so it's always good when they're on the ground and they land where you want them to, and not on anything you don't want to, especially yourself. So all in all, it was a win that day, and I was able to then spend the rest of the day getting them limbed up using that 12-inch DeWalt electric chainsaw, the 20-volt chainsaw. That thing is a beast for limbing up trees. Got them stripped down to the trunks. These are really tall, skinny trees that I'm dealing with thankfully not a ton of branches, mostly up towards the top, and not very big diameter. So I was able to get them all limbed up, get get the two brush piles built up from the trees. And that was the day, man. It was hot, it was humid, and it wasn't as bad as most days. We got a little reprieve for a few days last week. There was highs in the 80s, and the humidity kind of broke a little bit. But now we're back up into the 90s and rolling with that. So that was the day for me. And the next day, I had planned to do the brush and start feeding that brush through the chipper, but I got an Etsy order. Of course, always sidetracking. Got an Etsy order for some triangle blanks, so I had to. I spent the day building some inventory of those as we're coming into the fall season. Those triangle blanks. They were basically intended for these fall projects, building little snowmen or Santa Clauses and the little gnomes and things, all the crafty little projects into the fall, candy corns and different shit. Uh, so I spent some time on Thursday building up some inventory, getting this order processed and sanded and boxed up and sent out. So that was kind of a non-cabin day, but hopefully the fruits of the labor come throughout the fall when I don't have to run out to get the saw out to process a one-off order. So I cut up a bunch of triangle blanks that we have listed on Etsy and got that order processed. Corey was off for the weekend, long weekend this weekend. She had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So we wanted to get back and tackle the in the vinyl. I talked about last week that we got our sheet vinyl laid down, that we ran into a little bit of issue with the first section. Of course, it was the biggest section, one or half of the biggest sheet, and that the issues ended up right like in the middle of our living room as opposed to in one of the bedrooms or under a wall or something like that. And we ended up with some bubbles under it. So we had several bubbles, and several types and sizes of bubbles. Basically, they were because the vinyl wasn't straight as we were rolling it out, and so there was a longer ridge of a few bubbles. There were some smaller ones. We had gotten a lot of them out while the glue was drying, but there was no opportunity to redo it once we had laid it down. Not that we knew of. There might have been a way to do it, just with no experience and the first time laying it down. It was what it was. And so I kind of researched how to fix them, if you could fix them, and the least intrusive ways to fix them. And from what I came up with, basically, um, you want to get the air out of them. You want to get the air out of the bubbles. So a needle and then push the air out of them. And if they're small enough, they'll just lay down. I had seen other people suggest heat from a heat gun, and then also trying to re-glue them down, which basically pop the hole and inject adhesive under the bubble and squeegee it down like you were trying to remove the air out of it, and then keep it weighted down while the glue dries. So those were the three methods that we were going to give a try. If none of them worked, we were going to kind of proceed on to surgery, maybe cutting the length of the bubble, laying it down, kind of overlapping it, and doing it like a seam, and then having the flaps there and glue them down and re-seam them there. That was something we didn't want to do initially, to keep the grain on the floor. So it's the vinyl is, it looks like wood plank, and so we wanted to keep the plank look. And if we cut it some more, it wouldn't line up, but better, it would look better than the bubbles there. So like someone said, says screw in a fender washer and just leave it there. Is that to screw them down and leave the screws and fenders, or just to hold it down to do the weight? I use boards and buckets of water, but anyway, we got out there and we poked a hole. We started with the smallest, and we kind of went smallest from biggest. Uh, we put we were using, so what we ended up using actually is, Norman, one of our St. Bernards here, at one point had a hygroma, I don't know, big fucking melon on one of his joints, basically needed to be drained. And we had taken him to the vet a couple times, and they drained it, basically with a needle and a syringe, and pulled the fluid out of this thing. And so instead of paying all the money to go and struggle with him at the vet, we figured we could just do it ourselves. It didn't look that difficult. And so we ordered all the supplies to do it. We ordered bulk on Amazon, assuming that we are going to have to do it pretty regular, because when we took him to the vet, man, it was like a couple weeks, and we had to take him back to do it again. And so we did it once, and we must have done it better than the vet. And Corey got it drained almost completely. And really, I don't think we've had to do it since. Knock on wood. It hasn't ever filled back up. So we have this large supply of large gauge needles and syringes. And so it was basically worked perfect, because that large gauge hollow needle was great for poking a hole big enough to allow the air to come out. And then we were also going to be able to use it as a method to inject the adhesive back in underneath the floor if we needed to. And so started with poking a hole and squeegeeing the air out, and on the small bubbles, it worked great. We were excited. We did the first one, it laid right down, looked perfect, and as we sat there and gave it a few minutes, it just popped right back up, and we were like, fuck, this isn't gonna work. um and so we needed to figure out if we wanted to push some adhesive in there, or if we wanted to try to use heat and try to shrink it down a little bit. We set up a test piece outside, or actually, Corey, another thing with the dogs, we brought with us our dog blow dryer, which has a heat function on it. We have this big, really nice dog blow dryer because we had Walter and also Norman with these big long-haired dogs. Corey was grooming them all the time, and they hold so much water in them that we needed a hair dryer, a good one. And so we spent the money on a really nice kind of commercial grade grooming dryer, which had a heat setting on it. And the heat setting gets pretty hot, probably hotter. I would say it gets hotter than a hair dryer that you're going to use for a human. And but the blower is adjustable to, and so we were like, well, this gets pretty hot without getting heat gun hot. Maybe we can use that with the air blowing. So Corey used that, and it has kind of the end on it like a shop vac end, a wide kind of blower end. So she was able to use that as like a squeegee with the heat, and went over it and over it and over it, and you could feel the floor getting hotter, um, and it really just didn't make any difference whatsoever. We would stop, and eventually it would just kind of pop back up, and so I set up a test outside using some scrap pieces and grabbed a heat gun and just put the heat to it. Really just seeing what would happen if I kept heating it, if it would melt, if it would burn, if it would what would happen. And really didn't it really didn't do anything except get hot. Heat gun right to it, hot enough that I touched it and was like burning my fingers when I was touching it, trying to push down the vinyl. No discoloration, no melting, no shrinking. Um, I think a lot of it had to do with the fiberglass backing that's on it. I don't think that was really allowing it to do much of anything. So that was a non-starter. We had hoped that we would have been able to shrink that in with the heat, but that wasn't going to happen. And so we decided that the next best thing was going to be to inject some of the adhesive. Went through a little bit of trial and error with the syringes, trying to draw up the adhesive into the syringe. Finally, it worked, and Corey was able to inject some adhesive under the bubble and use the squeegee to kind of push it around. Excuse me, guys. Try to push it around a little bit. Make sure it got complete coverage on the hole, and then squeegee the hole down flat. And we used that day. We were able to use a board and then our big battery bank, our portable battery bank that we use for power out there. We were able to set that on it because the three bubbles that we're working on were kind of in the same area, and one board sat on them. We set the weight on it and decided that we were gonna call it a day and wait and see what happened the next day when the adhesive dried. We wanted to leave that weight on it until it really dried up. So Saturday we went out Saturday morning with the intention to check on the bubble, see if it popped up or not, and then if it had worked, we were going to move on to the next size bubbles we had. Like I said, we had like 3 different size and shapes of bubbles that we're working with. The small ones worked great. We lifted the weight off it. We sat there and waited, holding our breath, basically kind of waiting to see if anything popped up, if anything shifted or changed. These ones looked great. They stayed nice and flat. And so we worked on getting, I went and filled buckets with water. Corey worked on getting more bubbles injected with adhesive, squeegeed around, and then squeegeed flat. And we basically did as much as we could with the number of 5-gallon buckets full of water we had for weight. And we had plenty of boards from the scrap from building. So we got them all filled and weighted down, and then headed out. Like I said, we had a barbecue over at friend's house on Saturday night, so we kind of headed out, and we waited. We waited. We were gonna go out yesterday. We ended up going to get groceries and doing some other stuff around here, and didn't make it out. We're just waiting. Anyway, we were just gonna go out and check and see if they worked, and we just didn't make it out yesterday to see. So basically, they're gonna be sitting weighted down until we get out there again. I'll probably be out tomorrow and check on them. But Corey has been the surgeon and working really well on these bubbles. She's more patient and detail oriented than I am, really. So I'll probably check on them, see if it worked, and if they did, then Thursday when she is off of work, we'll head out and try to knock out the rest of the bubbles and see if this method will work with the large ones. And hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. It seems to be working. And they seem to be laying flat and not really distorting the pattern on the floor. It's looking good. Bless you, Corey. So I think she's doing a good job on that, and we'll find out. We'll find out if it works with the rest of the floor. So that's kind of the cabin update. This week I did a video, popped it up on YouTube. The tools I've been using for clearing. I kind of ran through all the tools I've been using to hand clear the sections for the solar field. Basically the same set of tools I used to clear for the food forest, for some other projects on the property, the Comfrey patch install, and some other places around. Ran through the machete, everything from the machete that I started with, the weed eater. That Stihl FS91 is just a lifesaver out there. It's got the guts to handle a lot of that thicker brush, being in a commercial grade. That head that Kerry Brown recommended, the iron hit blade head with the chainsaw links on it. That thing is just a beast when it comes to clearing this. The two chainsaws I'm using, the Log Ox, got to use the Log Ox quite a bit more over the last week, and man, I'm just in love with that tool. Can't It's one of those things where I went back and forth for so long because of the price, and now I'm just like it shouldn't have even been a consideration. I mean, it should, because budget is what it is. But man, the value I've been getting out of it already, and the way it's made and how well it seems to be made, I believe it's just going to last way longer than it ever needs to get the value out of it at $300. So glad I have that, and been using quite a bit of that. The two chainsaws, the chipper. Kind of talked a little bit about the chipper and getting that going again, and how nice it is to use free tools. So you can check that out over on YouTube and give it a like and let it play through, even if you've watched it before. The longer you let them play, even in the background, it bumps that average playtime up, and YouTube likes that, and the likes and the shares and the comments and all of that help. So I appreciate you guys when you head on over to the YouTube channel and check out the videos, and then give them some love. Really changing the focus of the YouTube channel. And I don't know, this show, I've gone back and forth, and I've done some research. I've consulted the Google, I've consulted AI, I've consulted some blog posts I read about YouTube channels and things like that, and I'm trying to decide. So currently, I'll take this live feed that's on right now, that we're talking to right now, and I download it from StreamYard, and then I re-upload the video as a video and not a live. There are two different classifications of videos on YouTube, and my intention in that is basically to get the transcript of the show, to do optimize show notes and titles and things like that. Basically is the only reason I'm re-uploading it as a video. And I've kind of gone back and forth whether that is appropriate, whether it's good to have the extra video, even though it's the exact same as the live. And I think it might end up. I found a different way to get my transcript, so I think I might end up just leaving the live up there. So if you're used to watching the video, I guess if you're used to watching the video and you can't find the video, uh, it's too late for me to mention that on the show. But anyway, it'll still be there in the live feed section on the YouTube. But basically, going to a video a week and then this live stream a week. So the next video that's going to be coming up, I think I'm going to work on this week, is we're going to start talking about the solar equipment. The last 3 weeks I've talked about how I picked my spot for the array, how I've been the process to clear it and the tools to use to clear it. Now I think I'm going to talk about the panels we have. I'm going to start talking about the equipment that I've chosen to use, some of the decisions I'm still making, why I made them, and go from there. So getting more into the actual solar build, and then eventually we'll be talking about the install, talking about the rain catch, and basically the off-grid system. So doing that as a weekly series over on the YouTube channel. So that's that. That's basically the cabin update. Oh, and so going forward, we're going to work on getting this floor finished up. Um, Move on to roughing in electric. Basically, right now I'm finishing up the line diagram of where all the outlets and where all the electrical runs are going to go. While I'm working on that, kind of getting some parts ordered, getting some wire ordered, getting boxes ordered, and then we'll also be building the interior walls once that floor is finished. So got 4 interior walls to build, and some of those walls have electric in them. So it's kind of in conjunction together, roughing in the electric, roughing in the plumbing, which is just a little bit on one corner, one end of the cabin, which is nice. Not a whole lot of plumbing runs, but quite a bit of electric rough in. So those are the next 2 things coming in the cabin, along with just continuing on that solar field, and trying to get those panels up. So that's the focus with us. Weather's staying hot here, so it's hard. Long, sweaty, hot days with lots of breaks, lots of water breaks, and less done than I really should. So, what else do I got on the list here? Oh, Noster. Back on Noster. That's going well. I talked a little bit on the show that social media was kind of getting me down, I guess would be a way to put it. They were really feeding in a lot of irritation, which is the point. Like I understand this. I've realized this for a long time, and the logarithms are designed to get you to engage, get you to get fired up, I guess, and keep going, and a mix of interesting and a mix of irritating. And I was looking at it. I was looking at Facebook, I was looking at X, and I was looking at it too much. And I started to think about when I was on Noster, and when I took the time to curate my feed on Noster. And the reason I left is because I got lazy, and I started seeing things I didn't want to, and instead of getting rid of them and finding new things to see, which is the whole point of controlling your feed, I just stopped going there. And so I kind of got a little fed up with Facebook, and I haven't stopped using it. But I started using Noster, and I kind of committed to myself to at least post there every morning. and keeping track of how many days in a row I've been doing it. I think I'm on this will be day 17 in a row. And so through posting every morning, I'm kind of building up that habit of going there, of opening the app. And I'm finding that I'm clicking on Amethyst is the client that I'm using. Actually, I'm using a couple different ones. I'm testing out Dark Wisp Dark, uh, yeah, one way or the other, is another viewing client for kind of the X style feed over on Noster. And I find myself opening that before I'm opening Facebook or X at this point, which is nice, and it was kind of the intent. And I spend a little time here and there, kind of diving into my feed, muting some people, unfollowing some people, searching some hashtags, and I'm really starting to find a lot of really creative people, a lot of people doing stuff, a lot of I don't want to say inspirational, but a lot more motivational content than I was seeing or being fed on Facebook. And I really I follow a lot of motivational stuff on Facebook, but it just refuses to show it to me. And that's I think the problem with a lot of the legacy social media is you can go in and follow everything you want and follow the stuff you want to see, but it's just not going to show it to you. It shows you what it wants to. And with Noster, I've been really working on dialing in what I want to see, and so when I go there, I'm getting that mix of the things that I'm interested in. Some off-grid stuff, some homesteading, some meme guys that post a lot of good stuff, and a nice mix of Bitcoin news. And I'm glad that I was over there. It's basically where I heard about the Coldcard breach, the Coldcard incident with their code issues and the emergency that it was. Thankfully, most of the people that listen have either gotten a Jade or a Jade Plus or gone that route, or they weren't using a hardware wallet, and which is another issue, but they weren't using Coldcard. So thankfully, I don't think I haven't heard of anybody, no one's contacted me that got caught up. A few friends over on Noster did, a few other people that I follow that I don't really know intimately or know personally got caught up in it, but nobody that listens has really reached out and said that they got caught up in the Coldcard mess and lost any Bitcoin. But that was the first place I heard about it. I really didn't hear about it on Facebook. I didn't see it on X as much. I don't follow a whole lot of Bitcoin content on X. That was Noster's really my Bitcoin outlet for news over there. So I was glad I had started using it when that whole mess started. Um, so I'm glad I'm there. If you are over there and you use it, or you're set up to use it, and you've kind of gone away from it, maybe check it out again and give it some time. Uh, actually actually put a little bit of effort in to curate your feed. To see what you want to see. There's a lot of there's I shouldn't say there's a lot. There's a limited amount of people that post over there, but if you find the ones that are posting solid content, um, it's a great way to use social media, I guess, and actually see the things you want. So that's my 2 cents on Noster. If you're over there, say hi. Check me out. Or if you're over there and you can't find me, uh, let me know somewhere through Telegram, or shoot me an email or whatever, and we'll get hooked up over there. And if you want to learn how to use Noster, if you're interested, let me know, and we'll get you set up, and you can start checking that out over there. There is a lot of Bitcoin content. I mean, that's kind of the point, but it's growing as other people talk about the other things in their lives and the things they're doing. So, got 5 minutes left here, and that's basically the intent going forward at episode 90 is kind of talk more about things going on here and less about things going on in the news. And but with 5 minutes left, thought I could talk about flock. That is something going on here. There's flock cameras everywhere around here, and I've talked about it a bunch. If you're interested where the flock cameras are in your area, you can always go to dflock.org, DEFOLCK, dflock.org, and pull up the map. You can see where all of the flock cameras are around you. If you don't know what they are, you haven't listened to the show very much in the last few weeks, few months. But anyway, a couple things popped up in my feed that I saw. Well, a lot of stuff has popped up in my feed about people cutting them down and things like that, which is, I don't advocate it, but if they're on the ground, they're not recording. But I'm seeing them push the public safety thing. I saw a news story getting pushed around by flock supporters about how deputies found a missing girl in 30 minutes using flock, which is it's all about the children. It's always about the children, but pushing these one-off stories. But the bigger story that I saw, and it's kind of infuriating to me, basically came out of Wisconsin earlier this week, I think, maybe last week. The story has been kind of kicking around for a bit here. I'm not sure exactly when it broke, but basically a gentleman in Wisconsin has been driving to Michigan to get a plant. He's been going to Michigan to get his weed because it's legal on one side of this imaginary line on the highway, and illegal on the other side of the imaginary line on the highway. So he was going over to Michigan to get some weed, and there are flock cameras at the border of Wisconsin, Michigan. There's also flock cameras at the exit that you use to go to the weed store, the dispensary in Michigan, where it's legal. And so I understand that what the gentleman was doing is against the rules. He's taking that medicine across an imaginary line, and all of a sudden he's a criminal. But the disingenuous claim that flock cameras are only for license, they're only reading license plates, they're only searching for active crimes. Somebody stole a car and it was reported stolen, and we know the license plate. We can search the flock cameras for the car and where it is. Missing kid, we know the car, we know the license plate. We can search the flock systems and find the car with the missing kid. This is what it's being touted as. What it was used for in this case was to establish a pattern of a gentleman going across the border and exiting the same exit to the dispensary, and not that a crime had been reported, that they were using the data to analyze to determine if they think a crime was being committed, that they were analyzing travel patterns to now obtain a warrant because of reasonable doubt to stop this gentleman and search his car. And yes, they found weed because that's what he was doing. He was going someplace where it was legal to buy it, and bringing it back. And I mean, I admit whether it's right or wrong. It is illegal for him to do that, but the fact that he was driving and they used the cameras to pattern his driving without a crime being reported, that gets a little sticky. And where does it go from there? Is this thought police in the making? Is this intent because you drive in certain places? Can you imagine in 2020, 2021, when all the COVID madness was going on and the lockdowns and all the stupid rules that they made, if they had this technology and what it would have been used for, because it was an emergency, it was a health emergency, what surveillance would have been used for? I'm guessing it wouldn't have been used for reading license plates and finding missing kids. If you remember the insanity that went on. So maybe figure out if they're in your area. Maybe determine if your city council's voting on them. There's a lot of places that are just putting them in, and the public doesn't even know about it until it's too late. But there's a lot of places where people are fighting back and voicing their concerns, and they're getting the contracts. Good morning, Martinson family, right in at the end. They're getting the contracts canceled. They're getting the cameras removed. They're making people aware. It's something to think about. And that's the first case I've seen where they basically created a pattern of travel and work that into a warrant and a probable cause. So, all right, man. Early ride to work. I got you. I'm wrapping up here. I appreciate you stopping in right there at the end. But I'm wrapping up here and gonna get on with my day. I appreciate everybody hanging out. If you want to hang out during the week, be sure to check out the Telegram group over at t.me/LotsChat. Otherwise, check out the YouTube channel and the weekly video going up. Usually going to be going up on Friday or Saturday, mainly Friday, depending on how the work schedule is going. Share the show. Share the YouTube channel, go to the website. Make sure you head to the website if you're going to be shopping on Amazon. That Amazon link is still up there. Still got reviews and kind of working on that over there. Be sure to check that out. Every little bit helps when you click on my links. There's always links in the video description and the audio description. So I appreciate all you listening today, and for 900 episodes, and we'll see where everything goes from here. Have a fantastic week, and we will catch up with you next Monday.
Shining in with the moon at the end of this longest night. I can see the light. I can feel the sun.